which is about startup business. And we're going to be helping subsistence farmers understand about business, which is a pretty big challenge in itself. So I was pretty tanked about that. And then the third thing is helping the third world. And the reason why I'm involved in One Water and a few other things is I absolutely want to do something to change the people that are less fortunate than us. So these three things, and I'm thinking this is going to be the absolute perfect thing for me. And when you put something out there like, okay, I think I'm a bit of a try-hard social entrepreneur. I think there's so many more people like Bronwyn and Ronnie that have got the one thing and they're just absolutely doing that. I see myself more of an experiment. I've been in lots of different things around the socialpreneurial front, and I want to discover what are the things to do, what are the things not to do. And Anders and I, we're collaborating on a project recently where we're going to write a book. We're loosely titling Buy-In at the moment, where we've been interviewing 12 socialpreneurs around the world, and we want to digest what are the things that these guys put into place in their businesses that we can share with everyone, we can learn ourselves. And just recently we were fortunate to interview Xavier from a company called Better World Books, which is essentially Amazon with a soul. And this guy, out of college, he realised there was a heap of books that people use, and then they pretty much chuck out. So he decided to actually recycle books in an Amazon sort of way, but you buy second-hand books. They've now sold 30 million books, and they're the second biggest customer for Amazon, and they've raised over $9 million US for charity. So not only are they investing in literacy programs through what they've raised, but think about, if you stack up 30 million used books, how much landfill they're actually saving by recycling. So it's just an awesome, awesome concept, and they're the sort of people that we're actually learning from now. But the interesting thing about talking about the selfish motivations is Xavier actually, he wants to one day float the company. He wants to make a mozza out of it, which is a pretty cool thing, right? And they've actually funded, they actually raised $5 million for their social venture, and they're going to float this company. It's a social venture. It's just changing the whole paradigm of this selfish and selfless giving, how you can actually do that at the same time. So I've got this opportunity to go to the Kokoda track, and we're heading off, and I was speaking to Dr. Genevieve Nelson, saying, what should I pack? And she said, we're each going to carry 25 kilos each. And she said, I've done the track like 8 times. She said, I never take porters. I hope you're okay with that. And I'm pretty slight if you haven't already checked me out. 25 kilos on your back. And she said, we'll be walking for around about 8 to 10 hours a day. Are you okay with that? I said, yeah, I'm okay with that. She goes, we should have like an hour between. We'll have to do these 4-hour workshops. You're okay with that? I said, yeah. She said, most of them don't speak English, so we'll be going through a translator. Are you okay with that? And I thought, yeah. It's getting worse. And she said, oh, by the way, the reason why we're going is 12 months ago they discovered gold on the Kokoda track, and the company was going to shut it down, and they were going to give all the villagers a commission. The Australian government stepped in and said, well, we can't close the Kokoda track. All of these guys are going to get a commission. So they raised $14 million, and they said, we'll compensate you in another way. So how they compensated them, they flew a lot of these people in the other room in helicopters into every second village and sort of had a look around, but these poor villagers got nothing. So we ended up going in there in some kind of political storm where the villagers weren't going to give us a very good reception because they'd seen nothing from all these promises from the government. So it was an interesting thing, and I was starting to get a little bit worried, but we headed off, and it was just the most amazing experience of my life, seeing these people. They don't even have a currency up there. There's no point in having money. There's nothing to buy up there. So I'm about to try and teach these guys about business. And the only reason that they get money is they go to Port Moresby to spend it on prostitution and alcohol, right? So, and as a try-hard socialpreneur, I'm thinking, am I doing the right thing? You know, teaching these guys about our Western capitalistic ways, giving them money that they're going to potentially spend on prostitution and alcohol. And I'm thinking, well, if I don't do it, Rowdy, someone else will, so it may as well be me, right? So I did, and I want to tell you a few of the stories from my experience. So standing up, we produced a couple of posters which sort of said there's three different ways to actually, 3 different things that you need to look at: products, services, and food. And these guys would brainstorm. They'd sit around and they'd brainstorm amongst themselves, and they'd come up with all the ideas and they'd present it with each other. But it really created huge amounts of community because a lot of the guys don't talk to the women, and the kids they don't really get a say. And one of the things that came out of the kids is their big idea is they were going to create a bridge. And we said, oh, that's an interesting idea. Well, why would you create a bridge? And they go, well, we can charge a toll to all the trekkers. That's how they're going to make some money, which is pretty cool. And yeah, finally, I met one of the last Fuzzy Wuzzies. One of the cultural differences in Papua New Guinea is they have a system where if their cousin or their brother or anyone asks for something, they get it. So if you're running a stall, this is one of the first stalls on the Kokoda track they put in place. They don't put all of their products and services up there because if they do, if their cousin comes along and says, I want that Coke, they have to have it. So it's just an amazing hurdle in order to make commerce happen. And we haven't solved hardly any of these things, but one of the things that we realise is what they need is cooking lessons. So next year I'm going to be taking a group of people over there and I try to do a bit of a lesson and it was a bit of a hit, so I'm going to go back there and rather than teach them about business, I've learned that the best thing that I can actually offer these guys right now is actually cooking lessons for them to be able to cook for the guys on the Kokoda track. So heaps of other stories, amazing, beautiful kids and people, but it's just, for me, it's, if you can, the final message for me is if you can buy your time, if you can get yourself into a situation where you don't have to work anymore, and the goal doesn't have to be $10 million, it doesn't have to be $5 million, it can be such a small amount. If you can get yourself into a situation where you're doing your vocation, or you've retired from business or thought leadership or whatever it is, and the door opens up and you can just have some most amazing things that you can be involved in. So I just want to put that out there as something